Hello and welcome to another gameplay review on the Virkayu gameplay channel. And in this one we have Morgana, one of the definitely fun champions that you can use in the jungle. Historically, originally, a couple years ago, they've been trying to do this, well, 1 year ago. They've been trying to do this for a while to get these sort of accessible champions from other lanes to be playable in the jungle. With Diana, great success, although Diana has historically been a jungler as well, Morgana, to a certain degree. There are some enthusiasts in high elo that kind of kept trying to pull it out, but the clear speed couldn't match the meta, and because it couldn't match the meta, it meant against other junglers like Lee Sin's Rek'Sai's, you couldn't get out ahead of yourself and ahead of them to actually make the plays necessary to scale, to farm, to get to the point in the game where the fact that you're a jungler doesn't matter. However, that's been rectified. All they did is say, you know what? We're going to increase the damage your W does to monsters. And because Morgana heals from the damage she dishes out and the cooldown of W gets reduced as it's being used, you can see Raptors, Red, joined together. A little bit messy here. It's our challenger jungler, so, you know, pro player, we'll allow them to train in front of our eyes. You slap down to Krugs, alright? You can then move on up to the blue side, and you can do this thing in like 3 minutes. Obviously, with a bit more fine-tuning and practice, I would assume. The nice thing is you throw your Q out, and you can trap it underneath the soil, so you don't need a leash. The only issue being when you do this, if things don't go perfectly, like in this situation, it takes a long time, enemy junglers will invade you. Just like with Fiddlesticks, so early vision control is tantamount to your success. You would have seen the runes on your screen, I'm sorry I didn't talk about it, but Dark Harvest is the classic thing. That's what you go. You can go Relentless for movement speed, you can go Ravenous for healing. Secondary page, you can go Inspiration, as people typically do in the jungle, but in this case we have Transcendence for the haste, and of course the Water Walking for river control. Good pathing here. This is nice. If you know that Lee Sin did this, right? If you know that Lee Sin did this and you don't know where he is, then all of a sudden you walk through the jungle, you get collapsed and you die. So you walk around. Back defensive pathing is very good. However, in this case, the Lee Sin simply went from red with a leash. We saw this leash and now avoided the vision placed at the Raptors to make sure he gets his blue and his Grum. So this is really just sort of hitting the plan to increase the speed from which we go Krugs to Wolves, because by going down and up, you know, it's a little bit of that spaghetti pathing, but you're letting your laners get to their lane on time without forcing them into a leash. So the Morgana allowing this is very good. But this is why these wards are not always the best, because this little gap here is easily abusable. All you know at this point is that Lee Sin started red. You don't know anything else. Like, he could have gone Krugs and then looped around as well. You don't know this. We don't have any idea where he is now. Most likely Lee Sin is simply going to do blue, red, blue, Grom into either bot lane gank, mid lane gank, or reverse clear from his wolves up to the raptor pit into the topside crab. So from Morgana's point of view, you need to be aware of this. Now the fact that this is a little bit slow, it's fine. You can trap your Gromp under the tower against the wall, join them together, and use your Tormented Soil as well as a Smite if you need it. But at this point, we don't want to use the Smite, nor do we need to, because we want the top crab. And Lee Sin did exactly as we anticipated. Normally in these situations, as Morgana, as an off-meta jungler, and I'm sorry for pausing it in a sort of crucial moment, but it's important we mention this, you would be too far behind to make this play. You would have to either 5 camp and thereby not be level 4, or you would simply be forced to reverse clear to make sure you could get the opposite side crab at this point. Now when I'm playing Zyra, it's that kind of environment, you know? I start red, I know Lee Sin starts red. The risk for me is that if it's a Graves or so on, I just get invaded. GG dead. If he goes down here and invades me while I'm trying to do a 3-side, I'm in trouble. So what I do is I just go buff, Gromp, reverse clear down, make sure I get this. The Lee Sin, because he did the same thing, is on the opposite side. That's where early vision comes in and so on. But with Morgana now, pause, we don't have that issue because you just root him, you slap down Tormented Soil, you burn him for a gazillion damage, you have Black Shield as well, you just keep auto-attacking him, you get the Dark Harvest stack. Now you see Mordekaiser moving on down here because your top laner has already reset, and this is where things get important. The Lee Sin, even if he wanted to fight you, and he could fight you, had to back away because our Vladimir friend Elite 500 is on Yone this game, and is in the mid lane, and has Prior. So on Orianna, this is nice. Now Lee Sin basically saw this, right? He wants to go and get this bottom crab. Alright? Morgana says, this is fine, I'm going to actually contest this. Elite 500 on the Yone says, you know what, I'm going to help you. Bless this mid laner. Bottom lane has managed to get a solo kill, which you expect with a Tristana lane, and now you get the bottom crab. The point of this video isn't so much how to navigate the worst scenarios for yourself. You know, people always want to know, how does a jungler perform in the worst situations, which is true. But at the same time, how do they perform in the best situations, and how do they perform when your laners actually give these openings? Because a lot of times, you see the pinks coming through, right? Look at this. A lot of times, junglers don't really use the advantages that laners give them, and you will see in this game, the Morgana does the most damage. Morgana takes over. This is a Morgana takeover game, and she's going to use these openings and the speed with which she farms to get there. And that's what's important with this pick. You're not looking to fight as much as you did in the Diana video as you could with Diana, but your scaling and map control can be really big. Now, the pings coming through there were for the Lee Sin. Didn't exactly know where he would be necessarily in terms of what camps he did. This is a very nice sort of lane hold, although at the same time, actually, you know what? It's literally just to get a Dark Harvest stack. I don't think, let's see. Yeah. I mean, she pulls away if she wastes time. The only issue here is delaying the back timing means you don't get up to this point as fast as possible, which is your tier 2 Gromp into your Wolves. And you know that if the Lee Sin, right? We don't exactly know what he did, but if he's going to reset and go down for this second Gromp and so on, he might look to gank bottom lane. So we won't be there for the counter gank. We got a Harvest deck though, so that's fine. Always look for those things as Morgana jungle when you have Dark Harvest. Getting a Harvest deck in your ganks is absolutely fine. Now that means we can go on up to our Grump. We keep our eyes on the minimap. We're looking away. Any lanes that are gankable? Nothing really. You're looking to farm, remember. Putting those points in W, the camps will start dying extremely quickly, extremely healthily. And when your bottom lane has prio, and this is something to talk about as well with that drive-by. I'm calling it a drive-by. You managed to force them to back, you delayed the Thresh's timer, and you got a Harvest stack. Not only does that mean your bot has more prio, not just of the wave out, you can, of course, very easily sequence down into the Drake. And look how quickly that Raptor camp was gone. That Raptor camp it's gone, alright? I don't advise smiting it unless we know exactly where the enemy jungler is, and in lower elos, you won't know where he is at all. And he will do random things, so you have to be ready to react to those situations, although that's the right play, technically. Now, we take the red buff, right? And here's where things get interesting. We reach level 6, let's go ganking. A lot of people will try and keep farming, okay, when you don't need to. Morgana Q of death, misses, and now the gank is over. That is Morgana jungle ganking. It's map control, it's farming, it's using prio, it's scaling. And we're gonna go on a blue buff invade here. The Lee Sin now, we haven't been paying attention to him, but he is down 20 CS. Gets outsmited, gets ulted, Thresh Lantern's out. Don't think we needed to pull the trigger on the ult. Braum gets stuck in the chain hooks of Thresh's doom. We hit the Morgana Q. Tristana leaps in, manages to get a double, so we're making plays. Orianna activates the button. Morgana's still going, hits another Q. As soon as you have Tormented Soul, you throw down. There you go. So double buffs to Orianna. That's why we don't waste the ult on the Lee Sin, because we could have used it in that situation. However, did you see the damage? Level 7 to level 5 at the beginning of the fight after outsmiting on the blue. That's what sequencing does, my friends. That's what sequencing does. And she does it so well and so healthily. Now, at this point, you might be saying, why Wolves into blue into Gromp? Now, normally, if you want to chain your sequencing, logically, right? Death mine. Normally, if you want to change your sequencing, if you're sequencing up, you would do Wolves, Gromp, and Blue together now. It does delay it a little bit. You can then flex into your top lane, you can flex into the Herald, you can flex into mid lane, look to make other plays like this, and then you can full sequence up again. So it's like setting up a circular route. At this point is also to get really close to level 8. From the ward maybe? Should be able to. There we go. And that's the thing. If you're looking to get level 8 before you go for Giant Crab, Void Beetle, if you're looking to get level 8 before you go for the top lane, then clearing upwards on your way to that is most logical. And here we go. As I said, you sequence up, you collapse on down, it hits. She ults herself, but Black Shield onto the Leone. Woo. That was nice. This is exactly what I said, because also we saw the RNG crab spawning on the bottom side. So, you sequence up on your direction. If there's a ward, we get experience level 8. Sequence down to the mid lane, get a free gank on that. We get bot lane control onto the crab. And now, in theory, you could look, if you had an ultimate, of course, if there's nothing mid lane, to dive bot if you have stopwatch and so on. Keep those in mind. Not necessarily saying that's the right play in this exact moment, but keep your eyes out. Why would you? You're level 6, son. And now, of course, Tristana yanked and yoinked our Krugs, so we didn't have it. Now, talking about itemization. On the thumbnail, you would have seen Leandries and Everfrost. Those are definitely the two best items, but I'd be remiss in noting that, yes, I didn't put Ludens on the thumbnail, and yes, Ludens is being purchased in the game. No, I'm not trying to clickbait. It's just that it is strong, it does work, it gives you the penetration, but Leandries with the dot damage and Everfrost with its HP as well as AP scaling, these just synergize so well with Morgana. Imagine hitting an Everfrost and then a Q, or a Q then an Everfrost. They never move. You know, they never move. And the reason we moved down here in this particular situation is, you know, your Krug's going to be respawning around the same time as Wolf's Grum, and then you can float on down for the bottom lane gank. Although I don't think that was actually the right pathing. I think we definitely should have gone, because we sequenced the Wolves and the Grum together, to look to do that, to look to collapse in the Herald. I don't like the fact that we're giving away this freely by pathing on the bottom side when you have a mid laner who's so willing to rotate and win fights for you. Alright? Now, does it matter in the end? You know, you see, this is what I'm talking about. That whole pathing, you know, in the decision-making process, those videos we make, he threw the ultimate. Is it enough? Nope. Mordekaiser is a champion. At least they just want the Herald now. Okay, we can talk about this in a second. So, no one got the Herald. And then he dies. It's a lot of damage. So, the concept here is I'm going to go bottom side, but the dragon isn't quite ready to spawn. Bottom lane has reset. There's only one camp for us. Whereas if you go top side, you can say, listen, I'm going to go straight for this. Look for your prio. Mid and top lane and mid. Who can rotate? What's the warding situation? If you can beat them 1v1, you do so. In this case, you saw very handily she could. And then, of course, you can sequence down, look to use it on towers before 14, and you can pressure bot lane for dragon. So, in terms of ping-ponging those objectives, that's what I mean. You know, don't pass bottom lane when you have one camp and you have two camps topside plus a Herald, knowing Lee Sin has to kind of go for this greed play. In the end, not so bad, but no one got the Herald, which is, you know, an absolute win, but we did lose two people, and even though they lost two people, it's kind of the situation we want to avoid. Nonetheless, hold mid, dragon is up, bottom lane is pressing. We can regenerate quite a bit here on our camps. Orianna throws the ball over to try and yoink it, as she always does, this champion. Urgot has decided to TP in for the play, which is one benefit, right? That's one benefit of these plays, because when you create pressure like that, the top laner doesn't need to worry about that. Like, look at this. And I'm not going to TP into that. Might as well TP in and get plays bottom lane. And then we can do a dragon. Now, Morgana's going to start coming online in a big way. She does the most damage, don't worry. Dragon. Orianna bottom lane. Lee Sin most likely. There we go. He decides to go mid lane. He's giving this up. There's nothing he can really do. She can do it very quickly. Alright. Now you can go counter jungling, but again, be very careful. Bottom lane will be... Never mind. That's why you start the minimap. Because you have to be considerate of what exactly is going to happen on the map. Now again, do we hit it? That is disgusting. That's... Assassin Morgana. That's it. Transitive, you know, you use map control to get objectives, or not give them away, into counter jungling, into nice angled ganks and collapses, into farming your jungle. If you see something else happening, we can do it again, you know? It's really, it's great, and now you farm so quickly. You got 5 points into the W, now you're starting to max that Q up as well. Lee Sin shows up. If that hits, he dies. You know, and that's the thing. It's kind of like you got a fat Nidalee spear to throw in. Because bottom lane has won so easily. Oh, Braum. Oh, no. So, it's a little unfortunate. Yone rotates again. Thank you very much. Just keep your spacing. Use your Tormented Toil over and over again. Make sure you're hitting it. When Q is up, try and hit it. But be very careful here, because the Orianna and the Jinx will become problems. And Thresh can just ruin your day. But look at this. Ignite your kill the Orianna. QW. QW. And just check out some orders. She has 13 Dark Harvest stacks. You play the team fights in exactly the same way as you would mid Morgana, support Morgana, but your damage is actually unnatural. And that's what we're trying to get. That's the point in the game you're trying to get to. So you know when you play Rengar, and you see someone splitting in the bottom lane in ADC, and you think, juicy. As Morgana, you can think the same thing. Now at this point, you get 10 stacks. I do think your Void Staff, or you just buy Death Cap in one go, because you're that fed. And that's the thing, right? With Morgana and the pure AP scalings that she has, and the lead that she can get, now, bear in mind, in a less snowbally game against less squishy targets, although not that squishy, your Leandries, Demonics, Zhonya's, this all works just as well. You can throw in a Death Cap later on. Void Staff, Sork Boots, standard AP Itemization. We know Thresh is here now though, so a bit more caution. You can wave clear as well. There's a dragon spawning. Okay, we've got nice deep vision here. Don't take my stuff. Hey. Here we go. This is it. So 162 CS to 98. Let's slap on everyone's vision so we can see the damage output from the... Huh. Huh. Uh-huh. Okay. So, I hope you understand here that the whole point of the early game is not Diana fighty-fighty. It's definitely a farming simulation, but look for those opportunistic ganks, look for the counter jungling, look for the 1v1s once you get a couple points in the W. Dark Seal, a nice mythic item. Look at the damage that Morgana does, and that's why win rate is so big, and that's why she's working so well in low elo, because you're not going to get invaded as much, and the junglers do beat you 1v1. They're not going to be in a position or even aware of when and how to do that, which means you can just keep doing these things. Like that. That's a Dark Harvest stack again. Whoa. Maybe Ludens is something worth checking out more so. You know, Everfrost is when you want to be more tanky. Leandris is when you want that dot damage because it burns so much. But the Ludens does have a good win rate, and of course if you're looking for really solo carry full damage potential, this works. You can just slap these down in the bush. I think we should look for a herald though. So, closing games out. Actually, it's too late, never mind. The Braum was thinking like me, you know. Herald's good, but that's why I don't like giving away the first one, because in games like this where the game kind of gets away from the Herald side and you're not able to... Gosh, that falls quickly. And when you're not able to get there for the second one, that first one can really break open the map for you. Farm it up. What are we gonna get? You can just go Sorks and Void, no? The Mejais. There you go. Easy damages. So, the point more so for this game, even though it's not the most interesting game strategically, I just wanted to highlight to you the speed with which you farm, how she scales in terms of just raw damage, how you can actually do very well into carnivore junglers like the Lee Sin, like the Rek'Sai. Just know your pathing, track them well. If your laners do give you prior, don't waste them. Use it to get advantages, and oh my god. I'll watch that again, because the Morgana flank here was supreme. Watch this. It's a new way, I mean, you can play Morgana this way at all. So they go in, Morgana just flash shots the damage. I'm going crazy looking at that. No wonder the win rate's so high. Obviously, this is, you're so fed in this game, it's unnatural. You will not do as much damage normally, but please do keep it in mind, because I'm seeing a lot of Morganas try to gank a little too much. I'm not seeing them sequence their camps properly. I'm not seeing them get an opportunity to get those Dark Harvest stacks on the bottom side. Well, they have the opportunity, they're not using it. So, keep that in mind. Flex the rune set you like best in terms of secondary sorcery or secondary inspiration. Make sure you take those dragons. Dragon control, like Diana, is yours. And that's the most important thing as well. You know, you want objective control, you have it. If the enemy jungler swaps sides and you have a dragon up, let's take it, you know? Definitely not as interesting as the Diana game, but it was actually difficult to find games where there was enough carry potential from the Morgana, in addition to scaling and farming and so on. I just wanted to highlight her strengths here, and this really does show her strengths. But again, if you farm inefficiently and the enemy jungler invades you, you won't have fun. Tristana. And, you know, we didn't even talk about the Black Shield. But the Black Shield here is, you know, like, that just allows her to do this. The Black Shield enables someone on your team or yourself while you just dish it out. And now they surrender. So, a little bit of a shorter Snowball-y video like the Kindred one. I kind of like to see what a jungler can do at the peak. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and learned something. I just released a best junglers tier list on the main channel. That's why I'm a bit everywhere with my thoughts, but hopefully I still drove the points home. Stay tuned for the Mordekaiser and other videos coming the rest of the week, plus a new Ramus one with his boinky boinky ult. And I will see you all in the next tutorial.